Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. Today, as you can see, we will add a ton of skeletons into our game. We will also improve the structure around our player and skeleton by making superclasses that's going to allow us to reuse a lot of code in the long run. And I also want to welcome Vlad as a new member to the channel. Thank you for your support. I also want to thank Oliver for buying me a coffee. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get into this episode. Before we start, this channel have a Discord server where you can discuss and ask questions about the tutorials of this channel. Or maybe you just want to swing by and say hello. We will also use GitHub throughout this tutorial. There you can check the most recent code, but also code from previous episodes. That comes in handy when something works differently on your side compared to what you see in the episode. And for the people that want to go the extra mile to support the channel, there is a Buy Me a Coffee page and also a membership option on YouTube with some basic perks. With that being said, let's get back to the episode. Last episode we introduced larger maps and also smaller. We first locked the player in the center of the screen. This was done because we want the focus on the game to be in the center of the game window. Also to avoid having the player run behind any type of UI buttons. To move the map around and not the player, we added the camera values that is going to go in the opposite direction of the player's movement, giving the illusion of the map moving around. And we finished off the episode by making sure that the player could not go outside into the void, staying on the map, so to speak. We're gonna make a few new classes today. Player, skeleton, entity, and the character class. The use case for the player and skeleton are pretty self-explanatory. They will handle the code unique for those two classes. Then we have the entity class, the superclass for all entities in the game. Then we have the character class, where all different types of characters will extend this superclass. Player is a character, so is the skeleton. This is to put code that is used by all subclasses of character in the superclass. For example, we don't need to write the animation code for each type of character in each subclass. We can just have that in the character class instead, and allow the subclasses to use it once they extend it. We do it like this so that when we add more different types of entities, maybe animals, NPCs, whatever, it's much easier to write the code to make them work, and also, as I mentioned before, reuse a lot of code. But for now, we're gonna focus on these 4 classes and also some changes in other classes as well. Let's just begin by making the most superclass of them all, or the superclass, which will be the entities class in our entities package. So, entity. And this class will be very general information will be stored here, like the position, the hitbox, and maybe the ID. We'll get to ID later. So what will we start with here? We will store the hitbox, is a good idea. So protected, rect F, and we use rect F for the hitbox. There is rect, and then there is rect F for float. And since our draw function is asking for float values, we can keep it float as long as possible. So that's why we pick float, rect float. And this class is already made for us. We can check if 2 rectangles are overlapping, etc. So if we just go in here, we can see a couple methods, but down here somewhere, we can check if it contains different types, if it intersects. So then you have 2 different rectangles, and you can call these methods in here, and you get a boolean, true or false, if 2 rectangles are overlapping. And that's how we're gonna know if we hit or we didn't hit the enemy or whatever we might have. But rect F, hitbox. We need ID, not now, so we can skip that for now. And then public entity. And this one is gonna ask for a point F for position, so we might as well use point F. Position, and then to get the width and height, you know what, we're gonna go with float width and then float height for now. We might change it up later, but this is going to work, but it might not be the best possible solution. Then we go this dot hitbox equals new regdef post.x post.y with height. And that's about it. Then of course we need a public get hitbox. Next class is going to be the character class. Character. We can always change it later, but let's go with character. And this class is gonna extends entity. So a character is a entity, so to speak, and then create the constructor. But we're not gonna use float width and float height here. We are going to ask for game characters, and we're gonna say game char type, game character type. So player, skeleton, ninja, whatever we have. And in this, because this is the enum that we have, then we can just add the width, the height, and so on. But we're gonna leave it that for now. Yeah, we're gonna come back to this a bit later. But that's how we're gonna get the width, height, etc. All other, I don't know, specific values for each type of character. And all characters, when I think about it, is going to have the same width and height. I don't think anyone, it's just different types of, okay. But yeah, we can use it like that. And then for now, we can just set 0, or we can set 1 and 1, just so it doesn't go 0. But 1, 1 is good enough for now. Then up here, we're gonna use the protected again. Protected int animation tick, animation index, protected int face direction is equal to game constants, not game characters, game constants dot face direction. Let's start with down, so it looks at us. What else? What else? Protected final, game characters, game char type. It's going to give us an error because we haven't initialized it yet. And then we just say this dot game char type equals game char type. And I think that's good enough for what we need up here. Yeah, because the animation is going to be taken care of inside this character class. So let's add the code for the animation right away. We can go to GamePanel and find it. Update animation. Yeah, we can take that and move that into our character. It's gonna be private, it's gonna be protected, yep. We can skip that or remove that, move player. Animation speed is a field, correct? Yep, it was 10. Let's go to game constants and add it here. Public static final class animation, and let's add 2 variables here, or 2 static values. Speed equals 10, and then we had amount because we want to know how many different types of sprites there are in each character animation. So yeah, game constants dot animation dot speed. I copy this one. Animation index, and then animation dot amount is more than 4. Animation index equals 0 again. And we will also need to set the face direction depending on what happens. Because we're gonna draw it in the game panel class, so we wanna get the animation index. So we want to get the index, we want to get the face direction, and we also want to get the game character type. So let's add getters for that. Let's see if we can do this. Right click, generate, getter, animation index, face there, and just hold down control click, control and then left click. I think that is good enough. And of course we want to be able to set the face direction. So public void set face direction. All right. Anything else? No, it looks good. All right. So the character class is now complete. All right. So let's add the skeleton class. And we're gonna have a lot of different types of enemies, so we might as well make a package for all of them. So a enemies package in the entities package. And in this package we add the skeleton. And now skeleton extends character, and it wants us to create the constructor matching the super. So let's do that. Minimize that. And position, game character type. We don't really need a game character type here because we already know what it is. We're just gonna say game characters dot skeleton. Because, well, it's a skeleton, we don't need to specify it when we do create a skeleton. That's why we do it like this. And the skeleton class, let's add a public void update. So we can, well, update it. And I think we used, we used double delta. And this is all the code for the skeleton. But we use double delta for the speed. So let's go and add that. So double delta, don't know. I don't think we need anything else there. But we do need to update the animation. And above here we can update. Let's go update move, and update move is going to have the delta, and we're going to create this method in here, and we can keep it private, yes. And now we just need to take all of this code that is specific for the skeleton and put it in the update move. And we're going to get some errors here, but that's all right. So last direction change, let's go up and get that too. Let's see. We need a last direction change. Do we need anything else? Skeleton direction, we already have that. Random we're going to need, I think. Well, let's start with private long, last direction change, yeah. Last direction change, skeleton direction equals rand, yeah. We need a rand too. Where is it? There it is. And we paste it up here. Private random rand. All right. Now we have everything, but it's not called skeleton direction. It's called face direction. So we might as well go around and change that. Post there, post there, there, and there. And we don't have skeleton post.y. We have hitbox.top is the one for y. Copy that one and use it wherever we have skeleton post.y. So they name it top instead of y, because top and .y is the same position, but just that the top means the actual line at the top in a square or a rectangle in this case. So the top bar, the left bar, the right bar, and the bottom bar. So that's why it's called top, left, right, and bottom, etc. And for x we have left, and not x, we have left. And I think that is all the changes. Update move and then update animation. Do we need any getter or setters? No, because we have that in the character. Yeah, so that was the skeleton class. Alright, let's add the player class in our entities package and not in our enemies package. So player, public class player extends character. Add super, remove that from the player, and go game characters dot player. Done. Here for position, we can actually remove that because the player is going to be locked in the center of the screen. So why would we don't need to specify it every time we create the player. We already know where the player is going to be. So it's going to be in a new point f, or new point f, width, or main activity dot game width divided by 2, main activity dot game height divided by 2. Maybe we can just remove that, and then just go yes. Yes, now we can remove that one. Looks a little bit cleaner. It's game width divided by 2 divided by 2. Yes. That's where the player is going to be. And we need an update here. So public void update double delta. We are going to need, because the skeleton for now at least is always animating, but the player is only animating if we have the move player. We don't have that method left, so we can remove it. But we had if the player is not moving, don't animate it. So we need to ask for that boolean move player, or move, move player. And in here, if move player update animation. So yeah, that's all for our player class, for now at least. Before we go and change in our GamePanel class here, we can go back to our entity class and make it abstract. And we make the class abstract to prevent someone to create an object or an instance of this class just like that. We don't want anyone to just create an entity. Entity is more of a store of information, so we can't have just a entity. It has to be something. And the character is extending the entity, so a character is something, but it's also too generic, or it's too general. So even the character class needs to be abstract. So if we want to create a character, we need to specify, it needs to be a skeleton class that extends the character. So now we can create a skeleton. We can't just create a character, and we can't create just an entity. And that's why we're going to have them as abstract. Alright, now we can play around in our GamePanel class. Let's see. The player X can go. We can player animation index, player face direction. No, we don't need that. Animation thick and speed. No, we don't need that. Skeleton position, we can remove that. Did we have that as well? Yeah, we removed that. Map manager, holder, looks good. Drawing player and skeleton, we can remove that and just make them a little bit closer. XP, then we go player. Oh, we need a player. So we need private player. We need a private skeleton. And import. We did not need to import that one. Automatically imported. And in here we can say player equals new player. Skeleton equals new skeleton. Let's go 100. Or new point float, right? Point float 100. I think that was all. Yep. Player face direction. Player dot get face direction. No, my bad. We're setting here. Player dot set face direction. Else player face direction is left. Let's just copy that. Down. Else up. All right, good. Player dot get hitbox left for the getting the X position, and player get a top for Y position. All right, looks good. Reset animation. We can take that. Go to character class here. private void reset animation, public void reset animation, animation index equals 0. Yeah, I think that's good. Set player move to false. And then you can say player dot set or reset animation. And yeah, we can remove that. Don't need it anymore. Let's see. Should it work? Should it not work? We'll see. We can remove some of these old imports just to clean it up a little bit. And minimize that and clean that up a little bit. And skeleton, we're not updating and we're not drawing. So, but let's see if it runs first of all, so we don't get any errors. It started up. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be a bug we have to fix later. But yeah, we should not be able to move the map if player is not present. But yeah, that's for another day. In our render here, we want to draw the player. But let's make a method for that. So draw player, canvas, and anything else? No, I don't think we need anything else here. We need to c.draw bitmap player dot get game chart type, get sprite, because now we're in the inside here somewhere, or we are inside here. Where did it go? There we go. We need player dot get face direction, player dot get animation index, or is it the opposite? No, it's actually the opposite. So the index comes before the face direction. So it's index, then it's player.get face direction. All right, position, player.get hitbox.left, player.get hitbox.top, not center, top, and null. That's a long line of code. Let's minimize that. So we have so we have the sprite, we have the left, Y or top, and then we have paint, which is null. Now we need a almost identical method. Draw character. And we want a canvas here too, so canvas C. And we want a character char. No, we're gonna name character C, and we're gonna name canvas canvas, because we're gonna use this one far more than that one. So we need canvas.draw the bitmap, and then we can go c.get game chart, yes, sprite, perfect. Then c.get hitbox.left, c.get hitbox top. And that is completely false, my bad. But I'm gonna take them and put them after. We need c.get face direction, c.get animation index. That looks better. And then null. But we forgot about the camera, so we need plus camera X and then plus camera Y. And we can just enter there, enter there, enter there, and then select. All right, that looks way easier to see. So we have the bitmap, then we have the X, Y, and of course paint is null. So draw player, here we can go draw characters or character C and then skeleton. Now we've figured out the draw, let's figure out the update. Player.update delta move player, and then of course skeleton.update delta. And I think we're gonna see one player and one skeleton. One player, one skeleton. The skeleton is not updating, why? And not the player either, so what's going on here? It took me a while to realize it, but here is the issue. We're checking if the amount is more or equal than 4. That is not correct. It should be animation index. Is that more or equal than the amount? That looks much better. So let's run this now. We got animation on the player, but the skeleton is... yeah, he's not acting well. Game panel, we can go to draw. I think for the player we have the animation index before the face direction. Here we have the face direction before the animation index, which is false or which is wrong. Remove that, colon, and like so. Now he should feel a little bit better, I think. Yeah, he's patrolling around. Just like before. Perfect. Let's go ahead and add a bunch of skeletons. So we have a skeleton. Let's add skeletons. So make a array list of type skeletons. And down here we can initialize it equals new array list for int I equals 0, I is less than let's go with 50, I plus skeletons dot add new, or rather we have it right here, so let's just take this, place it in there, remove that and remove that extra bracket. Like so. Skeletons, add new skeleton, draw character for skeleton S or skeletons. Alright, let's just copy that. And for our update the skeletons, get skeleton, Let's give this a try. They're all gonna start in the same place. Yeah, and they're gonna explode. And yeah, as you can see, we have a bunch of skeletons running around. Player works fine, animation works fine for all of them. There's a slight offset. I think I know why it's happening, but for now it's not something we need to worry about, because this movement code, if you will, is not something that we're gonna focus on or keep for the rest of the game. This is just temporary. But yeah, as you can see, it's working fine. Alright, that's the end of this episode. Not many new things were added, however, this will allow us to add more enemies easier and keep the relevant code in the correct place. I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until the next video, take care and have a wonderful day. Cheers!